Yo, what is up? You're probably noticing that the room is all like dark and stuff. I'm just trying out like a new lighting thing. But yeah, today's video is going to be about why everyone's fitness journey is unique and why that's okay. We're gonna be listing off a few reasons. We're gonna get into it. So we're gonna start off with genetics. Now, genetics will play a huge factor in how your journey goes. And I think it's something that's both under and overstated, right? Some people will have you believe that there's no point, if you don't have premium genetics, then there's no point in even trying, which I don't believe is the case. I disagree with like that entirely because genetics play like a huge part, right? It dictates the shape, the shape of your muscle, like the shape of your body overall, shit like stuff like how wide your clavicles are, how small your waist is. It will dictate stuff like that. How long your limbs are. Plays a factor in how you end up looking, how long your torso is. Other things like how quickly you put on muscle and how easily you put on muscle. Because some people just put on muscle without even trying. We all know there's the kids in school that just like were jacked without really doing anything, just doing sports. Like some people just end up more jacked just from minimum physical activity. And some people are just much stronger. Like genetics do play a part. But the thing is, by pure law of like how it works, everyone's within the average range, right? Most people have average genetics. Like it's very unlikely that you have horrible genetics. So I don't think genetics, unless you're like competing or something, I don't think genetics is something that you really should worry about because it's not going to be a real factor unless you're like trying to win the Olympia or something. But at that point, you already know that you have like premium genetics. It's just a question of your premium versus someone else's premium. But they're already in like their own zone. But you probably just have average genetics, which means genetics should not be a factor that you like take into serious consideration when making decisions. Or like when comparing yourself to others, you should just remember that like I have average genetics most likely. I mean, not me, but like you for sure. You probably have average genetics. So even like other things, actually. I was gonna move on, but like the thing is, by virtue of how things work, everyone has like a strong point, right? Whether your strong point is like an ideal strong point or not, that's its own thing. But like everyone's genetics, like because of the way genetics are, and since everyone has average genetics, regardless, you'll always look good because most people have average genetics, but they don't do anything with it, right? Most people don't go to the gym, most people don't exercise. So, by pure virtue of you exercising, you will be above average because most people don't exercise. So, even if you have average genetics compared to everyone else who isn't doing anything, it doesn't really matter, right? It only matters in cases where you look at someone who just has better genetics than you and exercises, or someone who just has premium genetics. But most people don't have the premium genetics where they'll be looking better than you without even training. So it's really not anything to worry about. What's next? Circumstances. Circumstances for sure. Everyone has different circumstances, and I don't just mean like financially, because whenever, at least in my experience, whenever someone's talking about circumstance, it's always like financial. I'm just talking about in general is circumstance. Some people start off fat, some people start off skinny, some people start off as skinny fat, some people start off muscular already. Some people, everyone has like different problems that within their journey, they need to like combat, because it fights against their goals. Maybe someone has like me, I had an issue with overeating. I had an overeating problem, and at some point I developed like a binging problem, right? Which kind of is the same as overeating, like it's linked, right? So it all comes from the same place. Some of us have overeating problems, some people have appetite problems in the other direction where they just don't eat enough. Like you'd be surprised how many people that are like skinny, that start off skinny, aren't actually skinny because of, and it's something that I'll get. Actually, no, let me get into this now. Because people attribute a lot, like when people say, oh, my genetics make me fat, people misunderstand where they're right and where they're wrong in that statement. Because someone can be like, no, you're not fat because of your genetics. But it's like you are, but not because of why you think. It's not that your body stores fat more than others. It's that you most likely have a larger appetite. That's what makes you fat. Compared to the other guy who's skinny, who has a smaller appetite, you just want to eat more than he does. So, obviously you end up fat and he doesn't, and you're thinking, oh, he has a higher metabolism and stuff. No, he just eats less than you do, like overall. And it's not even to say that obviously eating too much is a bad thing, but also not eating enough is also a bad thing. It's just a thing of because you'll compare how much you eat and you'll think that you're eating like the same, but you're just getting fatter. But it's like, no, you just like you have more snacks than him. Your meals are bigger. You two might eat like the same meal, but he'll like stop eating halfway through and just be like, I'm full, and you'll like finish the entire thing and still like one more. And that's just like your appetite. So like genetics wise, everyone has, but yeah, everyone has like different things that they're struggling with, right? Maybe the skinny guy, he doesn't want to be skinny, but he struggles with eating. He feels like full much faster than you do. You struggle with overeating, so you continue to feel hungry even when like you should have been full. You at straight maintenance, you haven't done anything, but you're still hungry because you have a larger appetite. Some people don't have gyms anywhere near them, so they can only do at home workouts. Some people don't have the finances to even be at a gym, or they don't have the finances to get like home equipment, so they have to like make a plan with those circumstances. Some people live in a neighborhood where it's not safe to go running around and stuff, so they're like fix in terms of like cardio and stuff needs to like be in relation to that. Everyone has their own circumstances, so by virtue of that, everyone's journey and progressions will look different, right? Me who struggles with like binge eating, when I'm trying to like get lean, I'm fighting against those urges and finding ways to like correct my urges, finding ways that work for me to do it better, right? Because like my conclusion was that I always end up slipping when I allow myself space to slip, right? When I start like trying to do balanced dieting and stuff, then I end up slipping all the way. So my like solution, which has been working so far, and knock on wood, it continues to work, is that I just like cut it all out completely to kind of get rid of the temptation, because I tend to fall and slide into temptation when I start negotiating with myself and stuff. But someone else, obviously maybe they're struggling to eat, they got to be forcing themselves to eat, right? Someone else who needs to run, they gotta figure out, they gotta start doing burpees or something. Everyone's circumstance is different, so everyone's journey will look different. The struggles that they go through will look different, which means everyone's on a different timeline. Which means if your friend's like ahead of you or ahead of you, he seems ahead of you, don't like compare yourself to him. Don't be like feeling bad because like your struggles that you're going through, you're both having to figure out your own stuff. He might seem to be ahead of you, but maybe he has um, an under eating issue, right? So it seems like he's ahead of you because by virtue of where he started and stuff, he seems to be making more progress. But that's just his progress being more visible. Maybe you both like at the gym all the time, but you just struggle with the losing fat part. So when you like making progress, when you're both making progress, it looks different. And when he's not making progress, it looks like his weight is staying the same or his weight is dropping. And when you're not making progress, you're getting fatter. So just don't worry too much about it. It's circumstances. Obviously, you want to like maximize and get to as far as you possibly can, but don't be like comparing yourself to other people. Starting point. This kind of flows back into circumstance, but everyone has a different starting point. Someone started skinny, someone started fat, someone started normal weight, someone started jacked, someone started when they were 10, someone started when they were 13, 14, 18, 21, 26 even. Everyone has their own starting point, place where they start at, situation in life, the reason that made them start and all that. So when you like comparing yourself to someone, it's not very efficient because usually you're comparing yourself to someone who's just been working for longer than you. If you're like 30 and then you see another 30-year-old like gym influencer and you're like, wow, this guy's so good. I don't look anything like that. But it's like, bro's been training since he was like 15, dude. You only just started training. You only started training when you were like 26. Like, why are you comparing yourself to him? Oh, he was already jacked when he started. He's one of those kids who got jacked from sports. Like, what are you doing comparing yourself to him? Or like, oh, this guy's so strong, man. You know, he's so strong. It's like, bro, he started off fat. Like his leverages were just higher. He had like more space to be like pushing heavier weights. You know, he didn't whereas you like felt the need to like bulk and cut and bulk and cut. He was just losing weight, so he was just on a bulk the whole time, basically. So it's like, don't compare yourself to him. Like you have completely different like beginning circumstances. You know, so don't stress too much about it. Oh, and genuine desire. This is the biggest one, I think. Lots of people say, oh, no, the biggest one is genetics. But like practically speaking, genetics isn't that big of a factor. I've already said it before. I said it earlier in the video. I'll say it again. Everyone falls within the average. Most of us will fall within the average. Us being you. Even if I say me, I'll put myself on like the higher end of the average. Um, but like most of us fall within the average. So if everyone's basically in the average, and that's not even counting people who actually exercise, then what's the issue, bro? You're gonna end up looking better than most people anyway, if you're like doing everything right. So it's like, what's the issue, you know? So I think the biggest factor, and you could say it's somewhat, I don't think it's genetic though. Some people would say it's genetic, but like the biggest factor is genuine desire. Genuine. Do you actually want it? You know, because I made a video about this ages ago, like maybe even last year, about how there's a difference between wanting something and thinking it would be nice to do or have something. Right? Everyone thinks it'd be nice to. You know, they say, "Oh, I want this," but it's really, "Oh, I would like to. It would be nice if I had this." And what's the difference, you may ask? How much you willing to do? How much you actually willing to do? Because everyone's willing to say that they're willing to do a lot of things, but how much things are they actually willing to do? You know, someone will be like, "Oh, I want to be an influencer, right? I wanna make YouTube videos for a living." They don't want to make YouTube videos for a living. They have never posted a YouTube video in their life, right? They would just like to. They see the results and think, "Oh, that would be cool." You know, they're not posting 100 videos, which is very cool. I won't even lie. Like making 100 videos, very cool. It's one of my goals from last year. I'm glad I reached it now. But you know, they're not posting anything. Their Instagram's dead. You know, they don't post anything there. They don't have a TikTok, and they're talking about some. Oh, I want to be an influencer. No, you don't. You'd like to. Same thing with like fitness. Someone will be like, oh, I want to have abs, and I was that someone. Yeah, I was that someone. I want to have abs. I want to have abs. No, you don't. You don't track your calories. You don't go to the gym. Do you even train your abs? Have you ever trained your abs? Do you eat healthy? Do you eat in deficit? Like you don't want anything. You just would like to have. You see the results of having abs. You see the increased attraction. You see the increased opportunities. You know, you see the personal pride that you get from having abs, from being at that like level of fitness, like that it's visible. Everyone can tell. It's a universal thing that everyone agrees. Like it's a benchmark. You know, if you're in shape with abs, everyone's like, wow, you know, he's really serious about this. You know, all that. He's a really healthy guy and all that. You see the results and you're like, wow, it would be nice to have that. But you don't want it. If you wanted it, then you'd be in the gym. If you wanted it, then you'd be counting your calories. You know, you'd be eating less. But you're not. You're saying you want it and then you're having the donut. And no, you know, you can lose weight while eating donuts still. But this donut isn't a losing weight donut. This donut is just part of your day. Hell, not even part of it. It's an extra part of your day. Putting you in a surplus even. Talking about some I want abs, bro. You don't want anything. You don't have the genuine desire. And if you did, then. But you get my point. Everyone has different levels of genuine desire. And genuine desire will very much determine how far, how quick, you know, how far and how quickly they'll get there. Because some people, they have like a level of like desire. I'm talking, this is why I'm calling it genuine desire, right? It's the difference between want and would like. Some people have the genuine desire to make it to 20%, right? 20% in muscular. And that's like where their genuine desire ends and where it turns from wants to would like to. Where they're now like kind of stopping there. They're just being content there. They think that they want to progress, but they're not like making any moves to actually progress beyond that point. And that's where, their genuine desire ends. Some people, their genuine desire only ends once they've achieved the goal. They're not stopping until they, like me, right? I know this sounds a bit of self glaze, but like as much as it's taking me long to develop the genuine desire, it has been there in some like form. In me never really stopping in trying to get there, right? But like you're not gonna stop until you get to the goal. I mean, how that's like the main. It's a big indicator, I believe, of like whether you can actually do a sport like bodybuilding. Because remember, with bodybuilding, you basically don't stop until show day, and you push yourself to reach a certain like bar, a certain standard that you set for yourself. You get there and you start the prep and you're like, I'm not stopping. I'm not going to stop dieting until I have striated glutes. I want striated glutes at the show. And then you push, push, push. 4 weeks in, you look, you're like, I'm way too far. I need to up the cardio. I need 2 more hours of cardio. Push, push. Like, you're someone that won't stop. Someone who doesn't have that level of genuine desire, they'll look at themselves and be like, I'll be good enough at the show. I'll be good. I won't have the striated glutes, but I'll be good enough. And that's like where their genuine desire ends, at like being able to step on stage without being completely embarrassed. But then someone else's genuine desire is like, I want to be the standout. I want to be there, and everyone's like, how the freak has this guy gotten so lean? And that's like where his genuine desire only ends when he's there. And someone else's genuine desire will end way earlier. And that's like a big determining factor in how far you make it. And that's like a big reason why everyone's journey is unique, because everyone has different levels of um, genuine desire, and like other factors like circumstance, genetics, starting points will affect that as well. These all go into your journey being unique, because let's just say you have no genuine desire really, but you have phenomenal genetics. You'll be better looking than like someone with bad genetics and like high levels of genuine desire, just by virtue of like genetics, right? Genetics are basically carrying you. If you have like medium levels of genuine desire, great genetics, you'll make it further than the average person with high desire, just because you're trying hard enough to be taking advantage of your genetics. But if you have the same level of genuine desire to completely excel and the phenomenal genetics, you'll be the Mr. Olympia. Right? Because remember, there's lots of people, there's 100%, at least like, I would say at least like 10, 100 people with the same level, if not better genetics than some of those, than like the Olympia competitors on stage. But the thing is, those people don't have the genuine desire to be at that level. And it's not even like a bash at the people on stage. It's just a fact of like, you can have phenomenal. So remember, some people only find out that they have phenomenal genetics when they start trying. Some people, they have phenomenal genetics. They know they're the crap, but they don't have any desire to like go beyond that. So they're basically purely coasting off of genetics. So yeah, they'll be looking better than like the people who also aren't trying just because they have better genetics than them. But they're never gonna be the same. They might have better genetics than the current Mr. Olympia, but since they don't have the desire to reach that level, they're not willing to take the Sazul. They're not willing to diet for that long. They're not willing to put in the training hours. They're not willing to eat more disciplined than most people. They're not willing to drop alcohol, all that. They're just not going to make it. Like, they won't get to that level. So, yeah, that's why everyone's like, it's all these factors that make everyone's journey unique. And this video is just to say that, like, you shouldn't worry about what other people's journeys look like, because it's very much all these factors and probably more contribute towards like a completely unique journey and experience for yourself. So when you're going through this journey, you should very much only worry about yourself, your own results, the things that you can fix, the things that you can improve, the things that you want. A big suggestion I would say for you is to really build that genuine desire. Decide where you want to be, and like really decide. You have to really decide. Don't just throw out something that looks good. A lot of people throw out things that look good. They'll be like, oh yeah, I want abs. But do you really want abs? Like, do you want everything that abs come with? Do you want having to track your calories so that you don't just randomly get fat? Do you want having to cut down to the point where you have abs? Do you want like having to say no to like food with friends or going out with friends and just like, yeah, drinking water or something? Do you want all that? And not to say that you always got to be doing that, but more to say like you're not at the point where you have abs, because remember, maintaining is much easier than like going down. So it's gonna be harder going getting there than like maintaining there. So it's like, do you want everything that comes with getting there and then everything that comes with maintaining there as well? Because everyone loves the benefits, but like you, when you're making a decision, like a long-term decision in terms of like a direction you want to take your life, it's a big factor of your life, your health and shit. When you make a big decision like that, you got to think, what difficulties am I willing to endure? You can't think about what benefits. Everyone loves the benefits. The benefit of excelling in anything are always good. So you got to think, what problems would I have, right? Some people, their problems end at like, they're like, I'm not gonna say no to food. What? I'm not doing 2 hours of cardio a day. What? I'm not gonna be in a high deficit. I'm not gonna train more than 2 times a week. I'm not doing all that. Some people, that's where they end, and that's okay for them, because that's where their genuine desire starts, and well, where their genuine desire ends. But you got to make a decision. Where do you want to be? Do you really want to be there? And then you can like move from there, and when you get there, you'll be satisfied. Like, the thing is, I could stop, not stop training, but I could stop like cutting now, and I'll be happy with my physique. I won't lie. I think I look very good, especially when I compare myself to like me last year, me the year before. When I compare myself to the past self, I look much better than I did then. But my genuine desire doesn't end here. I want to be like, I want to be exceptional. I'm going to be exceptional, but not everyone wants to be exceptional. So, but you got to be honest with yourself about like where you stand on there. Do you just want to be above average? Do you want to be like comfortably above average? Do you want to be exponentially, just like exceptional? Wow. You want to make those decisions. That I think as I say, genuine desire is like the biggest factor in how far you'll go, because just like I think of how much you're willing to do and how much you're willing to put in and sacrifice and all that. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. If you want to say something, leave a comment. If you enjoyed the video, want to see more, subscribe, share it with your pet iguana, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.